Hello and welcome to the Akrinos Marketplace. I'm Akrinos President Eric Matei, visiting today with Dr. Leslie Falcon, who has built an amazing practice in Chandler, Arizona, and is excited to be here and share with you, our viewers out there, how you can make this practice your own. Dr. Falcon, welcome to the Akrinos Marketplace.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. I'm really excited to share about my office.
Yeah. So, well, look, Dr. Falcon, let's jump right in, and I'd like you to take us all the way back to things. Share a little bit about your bio, your background coming into optometry. What inspired you to get into optometry?
Yeah, so, I can't see past the end of my nose. I've had glasses since I was in kinder. And it never once had occurred to me to go into optometry until I studied neuroscience in undergrad at the University of Pittsburgh. And in one of our classes, we learned about the lateral inhibition of the retinal neurons. And I had a light bulb. I said, oh my gosh, it's optometry. That's what I want to do. And, I knew I didn't want to do surgery. I love that with optometry, we can do everything except. I'm not a particularly blood and guts kind of person. So
Sure.
I really, so that was my light bulb. So.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding. So you're inspired to go into optometry because you're experiencing the need for vision correction. And, if you kind of go back to when you came out of optometry school, what were some of your ambitions in launching your career?
Well, it's funny. In school, I absolutely loved disease. I spent a couple summers just working as a tech at the Cincinnati Eye Institute. And I will tell you, like, if you would have asked me when I graduated, I was going to work in an urgence clinic in a multi-specialty ophthalmology practice. And instead, I created this great little full scope family practice. So
That's amazing. So what inspired you to go that route, right? And I know a lot of our listeners out there who they themselves are considering practice ownership may find themselves in kind of the similar kind of tug of war. But what was it for you that flipped the switch in wanting to pursue cold starting your practice?
yeah, so the first practice I worked at, I just felt like my employers weren't making the best decisions for the benefit of my patients. And one of my favorite aunts always says that if you can't be a good example, you should at least be a horrible warning. So, I spent my time there learning a little bit more about what not to do than what to do. But I just thought, gosh, I know I can do this better.
Yeah.
And that's how Falcon Family Eye Care started.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And it was 2009. You launched as a cold start.
Yep. It was
And
actually, we saw our first patient 17 years ago today.
to this very day. And Dr. Falcon, that is so amazing. As we're recording this interview, 17 years in practice ownership, and now this opportunity for someone else to take it over and bring it into the future, right?
Yeah.
So maybe tell us a little bit about the practice as is today, right? So 17 years in practice. And maybe we'll start with, tell us a little bit about the scope of care and clinical side of the practice.
Sure. Interestingly, when I opened the practice, it was the space that we own. It was a gray shell, and it was nothing but me and the crickets. But our office neighbor is actually a corneal specialist. So I really had this vision of a full scope practice where I would have this heavy emphasis on specialty contact lenses. And we do a lot of specialty fits, but actually the practice has evolved to be just seeing ages 0 to, I think right now my oldest patient is 94.
That's amazing.
And we're pretty pediatrics heavy. I absolutely do full scope. A typical day. So let's take yesterday, for instance. So yesterday I saw my first patient was 3 years old, first eye exam ever. And then I had a 92-year-old who had a neurotrophic ulcer. And then a 42-year-old in denial about their first progressive. That's, I said, welcome to the club. And, a couple young and healthies, and then finished the day with an add-on foreign body removal and a scleral lens refit on a keratoconus patient. So it really is, it's a little bit of everything.
That's amazing. And that is representative of a typical day at your practice.
Yeah. I love it because I think if it was all one thing, it would be just boring.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So we've got these clinical ops going on. And by the way, to our listeners out there, head on over to the marketplace at akrinos.com. Find this listing, establish practice in Chandler, Arizona. Check out some of these pics because beautiful, beautiful office. 3 exam lanes. I also love how your exam lanes are they're very appropriate to your patients. I know you do a lot of pediatrics, and it's amazing. So again, to our listeners out there, head on over, check out some of these bits of the practice. So Dr. Falcon, if we come out of the clinical side of the business and start talking about the optical, you know, it's an amazing time to be in private practice, given all this exciting stuff going on in optical. Tell us a little bit about this optical retail side of your business and some of the brands and styles that you guys really get involved in providing your patients.
Yeah, so one of the things that has been a huge priority for me is actually not focusing on the big brands. It's just, part of it might be just being an independent practice, but we've tried to avoid the big guys as much as possible. Currently, we have a lot of Tura frames. They're our number one seller right now. We do McGee Group, a significant amount of Morel, and on our way down, there's Clear Vision. I really didn't want to go heavy, big name, big dollar sign, and really that works with the patient base that we have here. This area is very, very STEM heavy. There's lots of engineers. They like to shop for deals. We've been able to offer price points and fashion, and that's been kind of one of the things. The women come in and they absolutely love the colors on the frames that we have, and the men come in and I'm sorry to my patients, but they're so boring. So we've got good like technical frames, with carbon fiber materials, and when you point out those features, especially to a patient base that is pretty STEM heavy, they absolutely love it.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm really glad that you pointed that out, because I know as we've been working together, some of these key differentiators, the fact that you're bringing the fashion, the style, the functionality, but also bringing all that at a really great price point, a really great inclusive value to the patients. That's amazing. So let's talk a little bit about the physical space. Again, to our listeners out there, you can see we've got some great photos of the practice over there in the marketplace at Akrinos.com, but maybe share a little bit about the physical space and the ambiance and really what you are aiming for in creating this office for your patients and for your staff.
Yeah, so we wanted really clean lines. We wanted not a lot of clutter except on the walls of exam room 1, which is all the pictures from my patients, as I'm sure you'll see if you look at the pictures.
Love them. Yeah.
But the optical in particular, the building itself that the office is in, it's a Class A office building. There's marble floors in the lobby. It's very well maintained. So when you walk in, we wanted the office to look welcoming, but also very clean. So that was kind of the big one. We feel like when you come in, I want the first thing you see to be the front desk. You're always welcome with a smile. That's actually a rule. And even if we're busy. And so, it was really just to create welcome, but also interest. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting also, and you referenced this earlier in the conversation regarding where the office is located in this multidisciplinary medical complex. Again, to our listeners out there, head on over to the marketplace at Akrinos.com. Check out this practice. It's really amazing how it's been set up, the ambiance of it. There is private parking, off-street parking. I mean, it really does check all of the boxes that we're looking for as far as like a perfect move-in ready practice for a new owner. So let's shift gears now, Dr. Falcon, and why don't you share a little bit about your team and the culture that you have fostered in the practice?
Yeah. So in keeping, I should back up. When I opened the practice, and especially since COVID, I really wanted a small town practice that just happened to be in a 300,000 person city. And, I've really, continuity of care is very, very important to me. And luckily, my office manager, who's also our main optician, has actually been with us 10 years. Her name's Jennifer. She's pretty excited about staying on. All of the staff is cross-trained. We really only have a staff of 3. So there's Jennifer, who does the optician, and she really does manage the office. So she does the ordering, she meets with the reps. I have a front desk person, his name's Darren, and he is cross-trained. He will pre-test patients for me, especially when I'm not running on time, which is very infrequently, I should say, that patients are used to running on time. So he knows enough to get a patient started and seat them and make sure that they know kind of timeline when they come in. And then my third employee, her name is Teresa. She does medical billing for us, and she does she's the unsung hero. She's behind the scenes. She's the one who enters all the frames in the system. She reconciles the VSP checks for us, and she's in charge of the medical billing. So,
Yeah.
and that's it. That's the whole team. They're awesome. They've all been with me forever. They're excited about the opportunity to see what's next. So.
Yeah. It's outstanding, and I know Dr. Falcon, in our time of working together and coming to connect with your team and learn more about that, what you have done as far as really laying a foundation for a really strong workplace that delivers results, because results and taking care of patients is always number one, but also it's doing it in an ambiance and in an environment where the culture is very positive, very inclusive. Look, there's a reason why those staff have been with you as long as they have, and it's because of the way you structured the business. And as you know, Dr. Falcon, in Akrinos' work with many buyers who are getting into acquiring their very first practice, to have that type of infrastructure already there across the team just very much is going to set up that next owner for success. So I'd like to shift gears now and talk a little bit about patients and the community, right? So share with us some of these things about what are patients really like about your practice? Like if we can narrow it down like the three reasons, what are you finding are the three things that are the reason why your patients continue to come back and patronize your business?
Yeah. So, I'm going to reiterate, probably the number one thing they like is that it really is a small town practice that's just in a city. When they walk in, we know who they are. We know their names. I know where they work. Jennifer asks them about their kids. It's, I live in this community. I've raised my own kids in this community. A little sad to leave it. I don't know if I should share, but my husband very unexpectedly got a job in Denmark. So this is truly like, I'm really excited to pass this beautiful thing I've built on to someone who will love it in the same way I will. But that's what patients like about it, is that we know who they are. We actually care about the patients, and not just care for their eyes. The second thing that patients really like about the office is that I have been very, very proactive with keeping up on technology. They like that I am absolutely the world's biggest nerd. So when something new comes out that I think will make me a better doctor, I'm always the first one willing to invest in it. So they love not just the fact that we have the technology, but that I take the time to explain what it is to them and at a level where they can understand. So, sometimes that's a ray diagram for the engineers, and,
Sure.
other times it's pulling out my squishy eye model to show the kids. So that's one thing, the patients are absolutely used to. They love that I share that way. And really, the last thing is just they actually, I'll say it again, but it really is just that we actually care. And I do. So that's been kind of the big one. I'm sorry, I'm having technical difficulties with my computer.
You mentioned the piece about you care, and Dr. Falcon, that is such an emphatic piece of this whole equation, right? As patients are increasingly seeking for that value-rich experience, I think increasingly folks are kind of seeing through some of the smoke and mirrors that may be offered elsewhere, and they're really looking for that authentic practice, that authentic doctor to connect with.
And I'll tell you, we hear that from patients, especially new ones. They can't believe that the doctor was out front talking to them. We're not very stuffy. We're very casual here, and they love it. I run into patients at the grocery store. This is, they're used to me being part of the community and welcoming them into the community that is, the practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were mentioning a moment ago about one of these things that your patients have also really, really gravitated to, aside from the fact that you and your team are amazing people, again, small hometown practice in a larger city. But you mentioned that one of these things that patients are really attracted to in your practice is this commitment to advanced eye care and staying on top of technology. And again, to our viewers out there, head on over to marketplaceakrinos.com, learn more about the practice. But you've got an OCT, You got one of these really cool 3-in-1s that's like autorefractor, keratometer, topographer, auto lensometer, PAL ID. It's, again, really, really great technology that's going to position the next owner of this practice to be able to practice at the top of their license from day one. So awesome stuff there. Dr. Falcon, I'd like to shift gears also and talking a little bit more about on kind of the community side. How does the practice market itself? So you're 17 years. It's been an amazing run of 17 years. How do you guys kind of engage the community?
It is actually 100% word of mouth.
100% word of mouth.
That's exactly. I have families where we see 4 generations of families. I just saw a patient 2 days ago who I see her and her husband, her kid, but I also see her sister and her mom and dad and her mother-in-law. And it really is just people having a good experience and wanting to tell other people about it. We honestly need to be better about asking people to tell more people about it. But that's how we've grown. We've had a consistent number of new patients every year for 17 years. So
yeah, that is absolutely amazing. And I tell you, to our listeners, when you see the full listing in the marketplace Akrinos.com, you'll notice that it's referenced in that listing that there's growth potential.
Oh,
so the fact that you're to this point, it's been 100% word of mouth, to think of what some marketing might do to really take this business to the next level is absolutely outstanding. I think it's also really cool. You mentioned you have some patients, you're taking care of 4 generations. I mean,
it's the coolest thing. And watching these kids grow up, I mean, having been here 17 years, I mean, there's this goofy little, 9-year-old who's at NYU med school now. I have another patient that I met when she was 10 and she's at Harvard Law. It just blows my mind a little bit, like seeing these kids like just become adults. It's like, that's the thing I love the most about what we do, is it really is, you can watch them go on this journey and it's so fun.
Yeah. Amazing. It's awesome. Well, Dr. Falcon, I tell you, it's been an honor for Akrinos to work with you through this journey. And we are so very excited to hear from our listeners out there, right? Head on over to marketplace.akrinos.com. Check out more about this established practice in Chandler, Arizona, and be sure to reach out to us at Akrinos. We'd love to get you on the path to making this your practice. But before we do wrap things up, Dr. Falcon, I would love for you to share, looking to the future and, talk a little bit about the community and things going on in Chandler, Arizona, but then also talk about, who do you think this practice is going to be a really good fit for?
Yeah, the community is still growing. When we moved here in 2005, it was a bunch of, young families with kids, and it still has a bunch of young family with kids. When you talk about, knowing your patients, I just laugh because my patients are me, 20 years ago, they're me today, and they're me 20 years from now. The practice is really going to be the best fit for somebody who wants to build relationships with their patients. And someone who's good with kids would be another plus, because because I actually like kids, which is not something every doctor can say. We do have a pretty heavy pediatric base. But I would love to see the practice grow and flourish with someone who really will provide care for the patients and staff with the same care that I have.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's absolutely fitting. Again, as we've come to know your practice and as you've shared here, in Akrinos Marketplace, a little about what you've built. I suppose before we sign off, Dr. Falcon, any closing words or just kind of your vision for the future of things?
Yeah, I'm a little jealous of whoever gets the practice, because they really can. I mean, they could walk in here on Monday and just see patients. I really have the move was incredibly unexpected. And I would love for someone who really does just want an opportunity to be just a truly independent, family practice owner, like to just come in. And I think it's a really great opportunity for somebody who doesn't have, $1 million to drop on a practice. Most of us live in reality, although you're welcome to give me $1 million. But I do live in reality. like I said, because the thing has been so unplanned, I'm excited for the next doctor who gets to get on this journey. Like
Yeah.
it's a cool town. The outdoor experience is great. You don't have to shovel sunshine. There's 360 days of sun a year. Um, it's a pretty good location. You can be anywhere you want to be from the practice in about 20 minutes. So
Yeah.
including the airport. So that's it. So hopefully someone will love it and care about it the same way I have.
Yes. Amazing stuff. And also to our listeners out there, Dr. Falcon is absolutely committed to setting you up for success, right? And we've got
Oh
some
yeah.
great things also that Akrinos has positioned to set you up for success. So if you want to learn more about this, if anything that Dr. Falcon has shared is really starting to resonate with you, again, small family practice in kind of a big-ish city, Chandler, Arizona, which is an amazing community with so many amazing things going on. I mean, y'all, we've heard it directly from Dr. Falcon regarding the day-to-day operations of the practice, the diversity of patients, the strength of this team, and this positive, inclusive culture that you built in the practice. I would agree, Dr. Falcon, an amazing opportunity that, I don't know, it's got me thinking I want to go to optometry school. By the way, I'm not out for that. If ever I'm saying, hey, let me give you an eye exam, go the other direction. It's not my forte. But Dr. Falcon, thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your practice here in the Akrinos marketplace. And to our listeners out there, head on over to the marketplace at akrinos.com. Check out all of this and more about this established practice in Chandler, Arizona, and send us a note. Fill out that form. We would love to connect you with Dr. Falcon and work together to make this practice yours. Dr. Leslie Falcon, thank you so much for joining us on the Akrinos Marketplace.
And thank you, Eric. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. Have a good one. Take care.
Yeah.